All right, so hello and welcome to Math 126, Applied Statistics for the summer 2019 session. So my name is Mike Deal, and I will be your instructor for the next, 7 or 8 weeks in this course. So this is just an intro video to basically get you oriented to the class and how to get set up buying the textbook and kind of all that good stuff, and to tell you a little bit about what the course entails and what to expect and all of that. So mostly I'll just be showing you the Canvas page, which of course is what you see on the screen here. Going through the syllabus, which is the first thing we'll do, and then like I said, showing you the homework module and system that we'll be using to complete all of the assignments for the course. So right now, of course, you're looking at our Canvas page, which is probably how you are watching this video, hopefully. The first thing I'll do is maybe just click on the syllabus here, which is the first link on our page. And if you open that up, I think you'll see something that looks like this. So I'll run through this, like I said, and I'll be sort of clicking around to show you the various things and where they are. So this is our course, Math 126, 3 credits. And the dates of our course are sort of officially, I guess, May 28th through July 21st. So I think that's 8 weeks almost exactly. And which works out perfectly since we have 8 things, I guess, or 8 modules in Canvas, so there'll be one every week, which I'll show you in a minute. This is me here. I'm a full-time professor in the Math and Computer Science department here at Endicott, and during the summer session, obviously the traditional day school is not in session, so while I do have a physical office on campus in Beverly, I'm not really around in the summer, so if you do need me, of course, please feel free to send me an email if you have any questions about the course or about material or things like that. And I should hopefully be able to get back to you reasonably soon and quickly. There may be some other little notification things either in the homework system. So if there are, don't use that. I would say just email me. You can send me a Canvas message too. Those go right to my email, so I'll get those just as efficiently as I will an email from you. So let me know, of course, if you need anything. The course itself, I guess here's sort of officially what's in the course description, but I'll just paraphrase by saying this is a traditional introductory course to statistics, so there's no assumptions that you know anything about statistics aside from just what an everyday human, which I think you all are, might know about statistics, or just living in a world that's certainly filled with statistics. And it's very typical. There's a course outline down here that you can read through if you want. But I bet you, if you or somebody ever looked at a statistics course at any other school, they probably more or less cover these topics. So it's a very traditional course. In terms of background and things like that, it is a math course, so of course there will be some math. And so there will be an expectation that you're okay, I guess, at doing basic math and, nothing too crazy. Obviously, no calculus or anything above just sort of a basic high school level of math, which you all have completed. But there will be some computations that you're going to do, I would assume, with a calculator, not sort of in your head or paper and pencil. But some basic things about just arithmetic. There really isn't even any algebra. I wouldn't say. Maybe just every so occasionally something, but nothing too serious. So from that perspective, I don't think it's usually an issue. There are sometimes some students who do struggle just with the idea that it is a math course and that there is a lot of critical thinking and there is a lot of what we might call quantitative reasoning that you will have to use in order to do these problems well. But that would be, I would say, the same as any math course that you took really in your really in your whole life. You've had to do a certain amount of, well, let me think about how to set this up and solve this and all that other good stuff. So that's still going to be part of this course for sure. So anyway, so that's a little bit on the background of the course. Like I said, here are topics. Why are people typically taking this course? Most of you are probably taking it because it somehow is required for you to take either this course specifically for your major, or at the very least a math course that you're taking as a requirement to satisfy that. But I would say in general, or who should be taking this class really is everybody, but in particular, where does this fit in probably with your degree? Really almost regardless of what your major is or what your career goals are. I mean, you can't really argue that statistics aren't, kind of part of our everyday lives. In a variety of places, in a variety of walks of life. More immediately for folks, senior thesis or other sorts of research-oriented either coursework or professions certainly use statistics as the driving force behind any sort of research study, which I always have students who, maybe are working professionals and have said, gosh, for the last 20 years I've been doing statistics without actually knowing that I was. Really, because any sort of data, any work with data is in some sense probably using some of the things that we might do. So it is a nice intro course. It doesn't get into super detail about diagnostic testing or sort of the more formal, I suppose, things or items in statistics, which if your discipline has a research methods course, which I know some do, that'll go into more detail about the specific kinds of tests and whatnots that might be used. So this is sort of a course that I might describe as before that. And for sure, there's much more to the story. I guess I'll just say that, is that this is an intro course, so we'll hit on a lot of the topics, but of course only really do any of them in an introductory fashion. So there's much more to come, and if you're interested, there are other courses you can take after this to continue, but that's probably premature since we haven't even started yet. So let me move down to more nuts and bolts kinds of things. We will, of course, be using a textbook for the course. However, it's an ebook, so there is no physical book to buy. Instead, it'll just be an ebook. And to be honest, we're not really going to use the book itself all that much. You're welcome to use it. You're going to be paying for it, so you're welcome to use it as much as you'd like. But over the years, I've taught this course probably in this format about 20 times or so. I've developed my own materials, which I think are better, I hope are better than what's in the book, or at least are more simple and to the point than what you might see in the book. So for the most part, you're going to be learning the material from this course by watching lecture videos that I've created, which I'll show you in Canvas. But there is a textbook that sort of that's underlying all of that, and there will be slides that you see in the videos, and those come from this book. So anyway, so you will be purchasing access to the book. Now, as I've just gotten done saying that for the most part you're not going to use it, this would sound like an awful big waste of $110 or $120 for each of you. But the real reason why you're buying access to the book is that you are also going to be bundled with that is access to what's called My Stat Lab, which is a online kind of text and course management service, and basically that's where you're going to go to complete all of the homework for the course. So the main reason why you're buying access to the book is that it's bundled with that is access to the homework problems and website, and that is obviously required that you complete the homework for the course. And the only difference between buying the book and buying the book plus the homework is like $1. So to be honest, you're mainly buying access to this homework management system, which of course is going to have all of the homework problems, grade all the homework problems, and whatnot. So that's called My Stat Lab, and I'll show you in a minute that where you go in order to purchase access to that. What else? So aside from buying access to those characters, the book and the My Stat Lab, the other thing you probably want is you do need access to Microsoft Excel installed on some sort of computer or laptop, as that is the technology that I'm going to be using in order to show you how to do all of the computations for the course. You can have any version of Microsoft Excel, should be all right, even if it's a 5 or 6 year old version. It should have all of the features that you need, so you don't need to go buy the latest version. But you do need to have access to it regularly for exams and for homework and things like that. So if you don't have any access whatsoever to Excel, you probably will have to purchase it. I don't know exactly how much it is, but if you get it as part of Microsoft Office versus buying it by itself, you do want to go ahead though and do that. If you can get by maybe by just using someone else's laptop or computer, or maybe you have it at work, or maybe you're welcome to use the library if you're local and are on or near campus. The Endicott, all computers on campus have Excel installed, and I believe even at like regular libraries, like in your local town, probably has it installed there too. So you probably can figure out a way to have access to it, but you will need it. Now I will say that I have had students in the course not buy Excel and instead get by on free similar kinds of things. So for example, on a Mac, there's, I believe it's called Numbers, I think, is the app that you can buy. Not buy, because it's free, so you can get it for free. And it does basically all of the same functions that Excel does. So it is possible to get by without purchasing this. However, I don't know anything about any of these things. I've just been told this by other students. So if you do choose that option, just be aware that you're kind of on your own for figuring out how to make it do what you want it to do. So I'm not going to explain to you, because I don't know myself, how these other things work. So anyway, so long story short, I think you would be better off just buying Excel. And I should say, don't buy it for an iPad or a tablet. The fact that you don't have a mouse or a touchpad makes it impossible to do some of the computations that we're going to do. So don't get it for a tablet or for an iPad. Make sure it's for a laptop or a computer, since you need to be able to sort of click and drag, which you can't really do on an iPad. So Excel. Get a hold of that if you don't already have it. And you may also just want a simple calculator, or maybe just, even the calculator that's on your phone is probably good enough just for doing some simple computations that you're not going to want to bust out Excel for. So, okay, so as I think I mentioned, the lectures are mostly going to be how you're going to be learning the material from the course. The book does supplement that, so there are videos actually also in the textbook. I'll show you when you get there. There are some videos that are sort of pre-made, I guess, with the textbook. You don't have to watch those. Those aren't the lecture videos that I'll be referring to. But you're always welcome, of course, to do so if you want. And same goes for reading the textbook. Aside from the first week, I have no assignments that are specifically read the textbook and about this, that, and the other. But of course, it is about the material of our course, so you are welcome to refer to it if you want to. But the lecture videos that you will watch will all be on Canvas, and I'll show you once we go over to our Canvas page where those are. In terms of your grade in the course, it's a very simple formula. We'll have 2 exams, a midterm exam and a final exam. The midterm will be on the first 3 units of material, and the final will be largely on the second half, or the second 3 units. But there'll be a couple of questions from earlier in the semester too, so in that sense it's somewhat cumulative, but we'll mostly just be on the stuff from the second half. So you have 2 exams, and that adds up to 3/4 of your grade, and then the other quarter of your grade are the weekly homework assignments, of which there will be 6. So it's pretty easy to see how you're doing. And there aren't that many grades that go into this. There'll be 6 homework assignments and 2 exams. So that's 8 things that go into this pot. Exams are worth a lot more than homework, of course, because obviously the idea is that the homework assignments are training you to hopefully be able to do well on the exam. So while I'm talking about homework, I'll say yes. So homework is posted, and you'll complete it through my stat lab. And when you get on there, I'll show you when we do the little orientation. The questions are sometimes multiple choice or sort of fill in blank kinds of things. But many or most of them, especially after the first assignment, are computations. So you're going to have a math problem on the screen, and you're going to do it, probably using Excel in some way. And probably on paper. I would really, really strongly recommend you have lots of paper, either a notebook or otherwise. when you go to do problems. But you're going to work it out, get your answer, and then type the answer in to my stat lab. And again, usually it's a numerical answer. So be careful with rounding. You want to make sure that you have lots of decimal places. A lot of times people just get problems wrong. They did it completely right, but because they rounded too much, the system will mark it wrong. So if that happens, just go back and try it again while keeping more decimal places in your computations. In the homework, and I'll show you this, you do have the option to make subsequent guesses. So it will almost always give you an option to make a second guess. So if you answer a question and get it wrong, it'll almost always immediately give you a, hey, take another chance or make another guess. And sometimes it'll give you some hint or feedback or something. Sometimes that feedback is useful. Sometimes, to be honest, it's not. But it'll give you a second chance, and maybe even in some cases a third chance before it sort of marks it wrong. Now, even if that happens and you get it wrong, marked wrong, you can still go back and request basically a refreshed or a new version of the same problem, and then try it again from the start. And if you get it right, you still get credit for it. So if you've done online homework systems before, there's usually some sort of you have this many chances before it marks it, or before you sort of officially lose the points for the problem. But for this course, since it's online and since the homework is really about you getting experience with this, you have infinite chances, I guess you might say. So you can keep trying a problem as many times as you want in order to hopefully get it right eventually. So do take advantage of that, because that is sort of in there for a reason. There are, like I said, other things that you'll see when you're clicking around that are sort of review or pre-made assignments part of. Don't do those. So the only ones that are required will be the ones that will very clearly be marked homework assignments. There are due dates for those, and you will be penalized for late work. I believe you lose 20 or 25% a day off of homework assignments. So if it's due on a Sunday, which everything is due on Sunday nights, if you do it 2 days later, you can still do it, but you're not going to get full credit for it. So the system automatically does that. So there's nothing I can do about that. But also, since you have plenty of time to work on these things, so there really shouldn't be any need to get extensions. And I do have to say this very bluntly and clearly: there will be no extensions for anything in the entire course. So if you know that you have a busy week, or you're going to be on vacation for a week or something like that, you've got to do the work ahead of time. So there will be no extensions. You can complete the work late, but there will be a penalty on your grade for that. Okay? Exams will be administered through Canvas, so you won't go to My Stat Lab. Instead, it'll be right in Canvas, which, if you've taken online courses before, you maybe are familiar with the Canvas quiz feature, as they call it. But if you've never, it's not too crazy. It'll pop up on the screen, and it'll be an exam that you're going to complete, similar to the way you completed the homework. There'll be problems that are popped up on the screen, and you probably want to go onto paper and Excel to complete them, and then you'll enter your answers. So since obviously this is an online course, I can't really stop you from using your notes. So I will say you may use your notes in Excel and any other notes that you may have taken, or little sort of cheat sheets perhaps that you made for yourself. That's all fine. You can use any of that. The exam is timed, though, so you won't have infinity time like you do for the homework. Well, not infinity time, but yeah, you have lots of time for the homework. But for this, as soon as you start the exam, a timer begins, and however long you have for the exam, it starts counting down immediately. So you do have to take it in a 2 or 3 hour window, or however long you have for the exam. So you have to treat it. I mean, it is an exam. So so that's exams. And then I just sort of finish with a general message, I guess, about the course. This is an online, obviously fully online course. It's not a hybrid course, so there are no class meetings, obviously, or in-person connections. But, so if you've never taken an online course before, that's all right. But just sort of be aware that you are kind of pacing yourself in some regards. There are due dates, of course, but you do have to kind of plan ahead, and you do have to be aware that your life, which I'm sure is hopefully filled with vacations and other wonderful things, can sometimes get in the way. But you do have to be aware that this course has to be completed everything has to be completed on time, and you do need to put in quite a bit of work. There's an estimated 135 hours that it will take to complete this course, which we have about 7 or 8 weeks for. So if you average that out, that's about 20 hours a week. Now, there's going to be weeks where you're going to be working far less than 20 hours, I'm sure, if you're just completing the material that's due for that week. There will be many weeks where that is more like 4 or 5 hours rather than 20. But then, of course, that does mean there will be weeks where there's maybe more like 30 or 40 hours of work. So you do need to be aware that there is a lot to be done. And I do often hear from students who kind of in the middle especially are like, I just have too many other things going on in my life, or I'm taking another course, or any other issues, and that they just don't have time to sit and, spend all Saturday and Sunday in a week on it. But that's pretty typical for this course, is that you're going to need to be punching about 20 hours a weekend. Now, that could mean all day Saturday and Sunday if you really want to press your luck and wait till the weekend to do everything. I more so recommend that you try to maybe at least do the material during the week, maybe through watching the lectures weeknights. You will probably have to rewatch the lectures perhaps more than once. In many cases, there are about 4 to 5 hours of videos every week to watch, so you may need to be spending more like 10 hours on that portion. And then you get to the homework, which again, depending on how well you've understood the material from the lectures, the homework might take a few hours if you got a good comprehension, but it's not uncommon for it to take 10 to 15 to 20 hours in a really hard week anyway, or so I've been told by students. So I just put this all out there to say this is a significant amount of work, and it's not an easy course. So just I would say consider that in your decision whether or not you want to stay in the course or take it in a different format. If you're a day student, or even if you're a Van Loan student, this course does run in person just about every semester. So some people do better with an in-person version of the course, where there's maybe a little more contact and a little more individualized feedback, although I'm happy to provide that for you via email. So just think about it in terms of your summer plans. If you're away for, I don't know, if you're going on like a 2-week vacation in one of our 8 weeks, it's tough. I mean, I might say, unless you're really good about working ahead, you may reconsider whether this is the right time to be taking the course. So, but anyway, I just throw that all out there, not as as some creepy, scary threat, just to put it out there so that it's not 4 weeks into the course and you're deciding that this course isn't right for you. So, the last thing I'll say is if you do get extended time for exams, that's very easy for me to do in Canvas. So just let me know and send and have the Student Support Office send me your documentation, and I can set that up for you in Canvas. So, all right, so it's enough with the syllabus. So I'll just go back here and show you some of the things I referred to in both Canvas and then in my Stat Lab. So, so back to our Canvas page. I'll just go to sort of a typical week. So week 1 sort of has extra stuff. So let me just sort of go down here to week 2 maybe. As you can see, the course is organized into modules, which if your screen doesn't look like mine, on the left here, you can pick, if you select modules, it'll look like my screen now. I think the default is that it should pop up looking like this, but if it doesn't, just click on modules and you'll see the same thing. So I called them units. Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3, and so on. Every unit it has something due, and it's a week. They're separated by a week. So for example, the first unit, the homework is due on Sunday, June 2nd. The Unit 2 is due Sunday, June 9th, and so on and so on. You can see it's just a week. Everything is just 1 week off. So if you want to look at it that way, you have a week to complete each unit. But again, please do feel free to work ahead, again, especially if you have travel or other things coming up. So in any unit, what do you typically see? There's typically about 4 things or so that you'll see. These announcements I used to use a lot more often, so I don't know what's even in here, probably just sort of like a, hey, hope everything's going well, blah, blah, blah. So you can probably more or less skip that, but if you want to read that, you can. I'll be sending you guys weekly emails, which more or less says this stuff in it. But the most important things are these, are what else you see. So if you click on any of the links that say video lectures, And of course, what you'll see is videos. Now, you can play them right here in Canvas if you want. And if you just hit play, I'm sure you recognize the icon. These are just YouTube videos. Turn the volume down. But this is me, right? So if you watch any of these videos, this is just going to be me basically narrating through some slides, which as you can see, it's very weird. You can maybe hear my voice in there. You may need to turn the volume up. Let me just pause this. You may need to turn the volume up or use earbuds or headphones just to make sure you can hear. But I think for the most part, people have had success. This is a YouTube video. So for example, you can put captions on if you want, which some people find useful. If you click on this here, I believe it'll pop it out and watch it in regular YouTube as opposed to here in Canvas. You can do full screen, which sometimes that's useful to be able to see things bigger. Anyway, these are the lecture videos. For each week, you'll see some lecture videos. I think this week there's maybe 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So in which case your sort of assignment, at least in terms of the learning portion, is to obviously watch all of these videos, all 6 of these, which correspond to sections of each chapter in the unit. And obviously you can come through and watch. I know that some people probably do more or less what I've just done here, which is to maybe do a little bit of skipping. I don't recommend skipping, but maybe especially on a second time through. If you're looking for a specific part, you might say, oh gosh, I wanted to replay that part on pie charts or something like that. That's fine. Maybe do that. But I would say the best thing you can be doing while you're watching these is pretending that you're in class, in an in-person course, and the teacher's up at the board, which is more or less what you're seeing on your screen. And I would take notes in the same way that you've taken notes, most of your lives in school. I know that it's tempting to sometimes be like, well, I'm just going to watch, but I do think that there's a lot of learning that happens when you write. So I really do strongly encourage you to do a traditional notebook. The good thing about an online course or about this format is that if you missed something, you can always just replay it. So that's kind of a nice feature you don't get in person. Anyway, so those are the video lectures. Let me go back here. So that's one thing you see every week, right? So video lectures, and so on and so on. The second thing you see, or another thing you see, are slides. I'm not going to click on this, but if you click on that, you'll just see the PowerPoint slides that I am voicing over in the lecture videos. Some people like those, like to print those out and use those sort of as a basis for their notes. So if you'd like to do that, that's fine. You're welcome to do that. Or if you just wanted to sort of see it without all of my markings and video stuff, you can get them that way. And then the third thing you see is a link for the homework that might be due that week. Now, if you click on this, there isn't actually anything here. So as you can see, this is just text. So these are always, I just put these into Canvas because it gives me a place to enter your grade, and also because it lets me put a due date in so that you can sort of see, when things are due in Canvas. But you don't have to, you're not actually going to be completing the homework in Canvas. Instead, you're going to be completing it in my stat lab. So there really isn't anything for you to do here exactly, but I just put them in here just to sort of be placeholders for your grade, and also so that when you think about it, you say, okay, I'm going to do the videos. If you want to look at the slides, you can, and then I'm going to be ready for the homework. So, where will you complete the homework is over here in my stat lab. So let me click back just for a second here. If the second link here, if you click on this guy right here, these are, as the name suggests, these are instructions for how you're going to register for my stat lab. It's pretty self-explanatory. If you already have a Pearson account, you may be able to just use that. But if you don't, you can create an account. Obviously, it's no big deal. And just register yourself for access to my stat lab. I think it's about $110, something like that, somewhere in that neighborhood, maybe 115, somewhere around there. When you go to sign up for this, you can do it on a trial basis. I believe they give you, I don't know how long, a week or so maybe of a trial thing. So if you're not sure whether you're going to stay in the course and want to sort of try it for a week and I don't think you have to pay anything for it. You can do that, and then once your trial period is over, obviously it'll prompt you to pay for full access, which if you're staying in the class you're going to need to do. Anyway, so if you click on this and sign up and log in, you should come to a screen that looks something like this. Obviously, mine's a little different for the instructor, but you come to some sort of home screen once you log into our course. Now, there's a lot of stuff here, to be honest, and the reason is that some people, at some schools, like for example, they don't have Canvas, so they sort of put everything here rather than on Canvas. So there's an awful lot of stuff here, and you don't really need to worry about most of it. But there are just a couple of quick things that I'll show you that you do need to worry about. So one, I might say that an easy thing to always do or to keep in mind is if you click on homework, this is going to be a nice simplified version of the things that you actually have to do. So these are the 6 homework assignments that you can see here. And there's due dates over here on the left, which are just once a week, right? Sunday night, Sunday night, Sunday night, and so on. And this is all that you have to actually complete here. Obviously, once you do them, you'll get grades and whatnots over here. And obviously, you can come here in order to get access to any of these homework assignments. So I'm just going to randomly click on assignment 2, for example, here. And when you click on a homework assignment, it sort of brings you to a summary screen where it's going to have your score and your progress on the questions. So this assignment apparently has 23 questions. And, obviously you're probably going to start at the beginning. And if you click on a question, it'll pop up a window and let you, start doing the homework. I'm just going to pick a random question, like 14, for example. So you can click around and do whichever question you want. And then you see a little window like this here. And some of the problems, and this one happens to have graphs, there'll be some information here. But ultimately, it's basically waiting for you to answer these questions like an online exam or something. So you read the question, which has the greatest sample standard deviation, which I think I know the answer is I think the first one, but I'm going to pick a wrong answer first just to show you what happens. So I'll pick B. So you pick an option, or if it's a numerical answer, you type in the answer. And then you say check. Now, in some problems, it'll say check versus final check. Now, this one's saying final check because there's only 3 options, so it's not really going to give you a second chance once you know B is wrong. But I'm going to pick the wrong answer anyway, so I'll hit final check, and it's going to tell me, no, that's not right. And it's going to give me a little bit of advice about why I probably got it wrong or things like that. So I'm going to hit OK. Now it moved to the second part of the problem. So the first part of the problem is still here. And as you can see, it's obviously marked wrong, and it shows me what the right answer is. I was going to say, OK, well, let's move on to part 2 and see if you can maybe get that right. So it's asking least standard deviation, which I think is B. So now I'm going to check that. Oh, sorry, I didn't read that carefully. Oh, sorry, I didn't read that question carefully enough. Whoops, oh, that was still part of part A. All right, so I got that one wrong too, so I'm not doing very well with this assignment for a course that I allegedly teach. So let's move on to the next question. How are these data sets the same? How do they differ? Oh, this was not a good problem to pick because I got to do lots of reading here. I think it's C. Oh. Okay, well, that was one where they are going to give me a second chance. Yes, okay. Same range. Oh. Okay, so, okay, I don't totally fail the course. Right, so obviously when you get a question right, it's going to give you a green checkbox and say, yes, you got it right. Now at this point, that was apparently the last part of this question. So it's going to say next question here. I'm just going to, you could hit next question if you want, but I'm just going to X out there. So now I've finished question whatever number this is in this homework assignment. Now I can still see all the parts of the problem. So for the first part of part A, I got that wrong on purpose. For the second part of part A, sorry, I got that wrong by accident. And then for the last part of the problem, I got it correct. So as you can see, it's sort of showing you how you did. It's also telling you up here in the corner that I got basically 1/3 out of the 1 point that was sort of offered for this problem. So you have options now. You can go on to the next question, which these guys over here in the lower right corner will let you go to the next question or the previous one if you want, and that's fine. But you can also ask for a similar question. So what this is going to do is it's basically going to give you the same question, but it's going to give it to you in a sort of different phrasing, or maybe if it's different numbers, it might give you that. And it's going to let you repeat it. Now it does, if you do click on that, it's going to ask you, it's going to let you redo the whole question. You have to do, unfortunately, though, do all the parts. In this case, there were 3 parts to this question. And so if you ask for a similar question, you are going to have to redo all 3 parts in order to get credit. But that is the main benefit, is that if you do redo this, it's going to let you get full credit for this problem, even though I got 2 out of the 3 parts wrong. So I'll just pretend I said, well, I don't want to do that right now. I'll go on to the next question. Fine, I go on to the next question. Whenever I'm sort of tired of doing this, if I hit save, and I believe if you try to X this out, it'll say something like, are you sure you want to do this, or something like that. So if I hit save, if you look at your progress sort of and where you're at with this, it's going to, close that. It's going to show you, okay, well, there's 20 questions or 23 questions, and you've done part of question 14, but not all of it. You got some of it wrong. You can still click back on this again. So if I click back on this one that we struggled with a minute ago, it's still going to let me ask for a similar question. So if I say similar question, now it's going to basically give me a whole nother version of this, and it's going to let me redo the problem. These may or may not be exactly the same graphs, but it's going to let me redo this, and hopefully to better success than I did before. So let's see, if I try this one again, I think 3 is the right answer, hopefully. Okay, so I got that one right this time. And then it goes to the second part, which has the smallest standard deviation, which I think is the first one, maybe. It's having to think about that. Okay, so that was right also. And then, oh gosh, this was the one we got right before. Same mean but different standard deviations. I think that's it. Okay, so I'll just X this out and hit save. And now if I look back at this sort of summary screen, you notice I now have 1 out of 1 point rather than a third. So even though it was on my second chance to do the whole question, if you're still able to get it right before it's due, it'll still give you credit for it. And of course, you can jump around here and see how you did. And if there's anything that you got wrong, it'll show up in red. And you can sort of say, oh, okay, I'm going to go back and maybe redo something. Okay, so that's homework, which for sure is something you're going to look at in here. The other thing you're going to perhaps use in here is to get access to the textbook. Now, it's a little bit not great in terms of the system. I don't know why they don't say textbook over here. But the way that to get to the textbook is to click on what's this link here to chapter contents. So if you click on that, this is more of what you'd expect from an ebook, which is that there's a bunch of chapters here where you can select whichever chapter you want to read about. So I'll click chapter 1, for example. And then it breaks it down into sections. Now again, since there's a million extra bells and whistles in here, there's chapter tests and quizzes and and practice and other. You don't have to do any of this stuff. If you just want to look at the ebook, just click on one of these sections. So if you click on section, for example, section 1.1, if I click on that, it'll say, all right, you have options here. Now, the videos that are here are not the videos that you're watching for this course. These are videos that the publisher created. So I don't think you really want to watch those, but I guess you're welcome to if you want. Instead, you want to click on multimedia e-text. So if you hit that, it should pull up the ebook. Now mine isn't going to work because I actually don't have access to the ebook, which is kind of funny. Well, I do, but through a different means. But you should be able to click on this and hopefully the ebook should pop up. And it's just like sort of a PDF that you can just scroll through and read. So for the first homework assignment, I am having you use, if I click back over here to Canvas for a minute, for the first, so you're watching the video right here, this intro video and reading assignment. And so for the first assignment, you are actually I am asking you to read the first 3 sections of the, basically, which is chapter 1. And then to go in and try to do the homework problems for chapter 1. And so all of that's going to be in my stat lab. But for every other week, You're going to, instead of spending a lot of time in MyStatLab, you're going to be coming here to Canvas, where you're going to watch the lecture videos here in Canvas, lecture videos, and so on, and then go over and complete the homework over in MyStatLab. All right, so I think that's pretty much it that I need to show you. The exams, I did mention that a little bit, I guess, when we went over the syllabus, but the exams are here in Canvas. There's 2 links for each exam. There's a midterm and a final. The first link just has details and instructions, as the name suggests. There are practice problems here that you can try. This is not a study guide. I know that students nowadays have a thing called a study guide. Your notes are the study guide for the course. These just happen to be some practice problems that you might try to see how you're doing. So it's not to say that these are the problems that are going to be on the exam or anything necessarily even like that, but these are good problems to try and see how you're doing. And then there's just some instructions here about the exam. I'll be emailing this stuff to you when we get close to exam time anyway. But so that's the first link that you see for each exam, and then the second link you see is going to actually be the exam. So if you click on the second link, this is the actual exam, which on your screen it's going to probably say something, instead of preview here, it's going to say something like start the quiz or start the exam. And as soon as you click that, the timer is going to begin. So you do want to make sure that you've saved, that you have time in order to complete the exam all in one sitting. But this is where you go to actually take the midterm and the final exam. So aside from that, I'll say that I am redoing the course a little bit, and so to hopefully make it more user-friendly in some regards. So the first half of the course is posted and active, so you can feel free to start. Obviously, you probably want to start with the first unit here, where you're going to go to the ebook and read the first chapter, and then in MyStatLab, you're also then going to complete homework 1, and that's due June 2nd, and everything is due at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or Eastern Daylight Time, or whatever we're on right now. So Sunday night is always going to be the due date for everything, for both homework assignments and then also even for the exams. Those are also due on Sunday nights. You are always, 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 always welcome to complete things ahead of the due dates. So don't feel like you have to wait until June 2nd, to work on this assignment. You could do it today or tomorrow. So it's not required that you wait. And there is no submitting of the homework. Some people always ask that too, I didn't see a way for me to submit the homework to Canvas. You don't submit the homework to Canvas. You just complete it. If you complete it in MyStatLab like we were talking about, I'll be able to see your grades, and I'll be able to see everything that you do in Canvas. So as long as in Canvas, the grade, whatever the grade says your grade is in Canvas, is the grade that I'm going to transfer over here whatever the grade in MyStatLab is, I'm going to transfer that over here to Canvas. So don't worry about like uploading solutions or things like that. It's all built in. It does sometimes take me a few days to transfer them over since I do it manually. So just because the due date has come and gone, if your grade doesn't transfer immediately, don't worry. I promise I will transfer it over in the next few days. So feel free to get started in the course now. Unit 1 is, I'll just be totally blunt with you, is really easy. It's just sort of an overview of some terminology and stuff. It's not going to take you all that long to do this, I don't think. So you're welcome to start into Unit 2, which is much more involved, and then Unit 3 as well. And if you want to, you can go all the way as far as the midterm exam, and you can do as much of this as you want, as long as you're meeting the due dates. I am going to work on the second half of the course, so there's going to be a new Unit 5 is going to become Unit 4, and then I'm going to put in a new Unit 5 and then 6. And then there will be a final exam due later in the course. That I haven't posted just yet, but I should hopefully do that in the coming week or so. So that you can certainly work ahead if you want. So I think that's it for orientation to the course. So hopefully that answered all of your questions. And again, the syllabus is here. The instructions for signing up for MyStatLab is right here. And once you do that, you're good to go and you're ready to start the course. So I will check in, roughly on a weekly basis, just sort of say, hey, I hope everything's going all right, kind of emails. But aside from that, it's up to you to pace yourself and to make sure you're meeting all of the due dates, and to ask any questions if anything comes up. So good luck this semester with everything, and I will. Oh, maybe I should at least just point out. Sorry, um, the final exam is due on July 21st, which is actually the last day of the semester or last day of this term in the semester. So, it is eight. There are 8 things due each of the next 8 Sunday nights. So. Just again, keep that in mind for your planning purposes in the course. So good luck, and like I said, I'll be in touch. And if you have any questions, just let me know.